So exciting day for me. I'm down here at ProSmoke BBQ shop, and we've got a special delivery that I've been waiting for quite a while. Let's go check it out.
Oh, I reckon that might be a black 250 in there.
I think so. Looks like mine. So, got a 500 gallon. That's going to Germany, I think. And then we've got our, well, my 250 gallon primitive just here. Looking good. Big firebox in this, absolutely huge. That's going to be a pleasure to cook with. Give that a little season. Went for the back stack grate as well, just so I can cook nice and close to the stack if needed. And this bad boy is going in my garden. So we've got a crane coming in a couple of hours, and then gonna try and crane it over the wall into place. 500's finally off the trailer. Rest of the container's filled with workhorses. Right, so obviously I've got a much bigger pit now, so I need to get myself some big wood, and obviously ProSmoke stock wood splits for 500 gallons, 1,000 gallons, 250 gallons, as well as the smaller pit stuff. So I'm just loading up my car with a load of oak.
Yeah, my right, your left, yeah.
So I got the car loaded up with some oak. Got about a quarter of a pallet. Now I need to get this thing home. For those of you that watch the channel, you know that I've got a pretty small back garden with a brick wall around it. So I need to get this over the wall. My neighbours either think I'm insane or dislike me enough to not even have an opinion. Perfect. I mean, that was far better and easier than I thought it would be. Yeah. There it is, perfectly positioned next to the Traeger. So it is actually the next day. I'm desperate to light a fire in this thing. So found this Pam in Costco about 4 years ago. Well out of date, but it'll be good for seasoning up the inside of this pit. And there are so many seasoning videos on YouTube. I'm not going to go into detail on it. Basically going to get the inside of this, grates inside, everything but the firebox and the stack, and light a big fire in it. Starting off with my thinnest, lightest pieces from the pile. Almost like kindling, but this stuff is definitely not small. Got some smaller offset size bits as well, so I'm gonna chuck those on. A couple of fire lighters in the bottom. Light it up for the first time. Got the stack fully open, doors closed. We're gonna get this roaring. No thermometers in at the moment because we're going to hopefully get this ripping hot. We'll put these in once this is fully seasoned, probably run this for about 3-4 hours or so. So we did a burn in, did about 3 hours or so, 4 hours, something like that. Everything was running really smooth, and I don't want to speak too soon, but the fire seemed to behave itself. A lot of draw in this pit, which is what I like. And that firebox, you probably can't get an idea of the depth of this firebox, but it is huge. I was putting some real big chunky logs on and it wasn't even getting halfway down. It's like half the length of cook chamber. So let's have a little tour of what I went for. Loads of options on primitive, but real quick overview. So 250 gallon in the standard black paint, and I went for a single shelf version. This can fit about 3 briskets in depth, and then probably 3 rows comfortably. Might be able to push a 4th row, but you'd want to heavily rotate and really watch that back end there. 9 to 12 briskets max, and I specifically didn't go for a top shelf. For me, that's because I really don't like top shelves. I just find that they get in the way, and when you're trying to reach back here to get a brisket and the top shelf's there, well, I've already got enough scars on my bicep that I'm just done with top shelves entirely. Also, I don't like putting stuff above the meat that's on the bottom shelf or the bottom grate because it drips. So I would rather just have one shelf, cook comfortably. What else did we do? We went for the back stack grate. This extra grate here doesn't come as standard. If I have to put the tips of my briskets just over here, and that's the difference between being able to put another row in back there, then this just gives me a little bit of extra to work with. But really, I'm probably not going to be putting my briskets much past this anyway, but it's there if needed. Went for a standard ball valve on skids, as you've probably already seen. Breakaway stack, and to be honest, I had images in my head of putting this up and down as and when I needed it, but that thing is heavy. Really have to have two people to help lift it, ideally from both sides, or climb on top of the pit, which is what we did yesterday. Probably just going to stay up, and I'll just close the cap down when I'm not using it. Back to the firebox, I went semi-insulated. For those that don't know, that basically means there's the outer shell, so this stuff that's painted black, and then an air gap, and then an inner shell. Fully insulated would be to have that same air gap but filled with insulation, and I was going to go fully insulated on this, but the more and more I cook, the more and more I like those inefficiencies with a semi-insulated firebox. I didn't want it to get too hot, particularly in the summer, and after speaking to Joe Yim, who has the same model, you might recognize it, but he has the wagon wheels rather than the skids. We talked about it a little bit, and he kind of sold me on going semi. You know, it doesn't get that cold here. This isn't Canada, it's not Alaska, and Joe lives in Chicago where it gets very cold, and even he doesn't have a fully insulated firebox. So in the UK, probably not needed. And as I say, I like those inefficiencies that you get, the extra smoke. So yeah, semi-insulated it was. And that's pretty much it. There are a load of options for primitive. Counterweights, all that kind of stuff. For me, I'm super simple when it comes to barbecue. I don't even have thermometers on most of my barbecues. My Weber doesn't have one, my PK doesn't have one. Just a good offset with a good amount of draw in it. Well built, single shelf, couple of thermometers in there. Perfect. For this little sad boy, he's been relegated, kicked out, looking pretty rusty these days. This is the Franklin. He's like Woody when Buzz shows up. And yeah, that pit's for sale actually, so get in touch if you want to buy one. Franklin barbecue pit. So that's a little documentation of me picking up my new 250 gallon primitive pit from ProSmoke BBQ, imported by them, everything taken care of, import tax, the importation, all of that, everything, all bought through ProSmoke. Very easy. So thanks very much to them. And something that I anticipate that I'm going to get asked, but something that I do already get asked when I tell people that I put a pre-order in for a primitive is, why didn't you go for a UK built smoker? So there's quite a few reasons for that. The first one is there aren't that many, and a lot of them just not very good. And I'll just say that because I don't really care. But since Smoky Oak disappeared, you've really only got a couple that actually build anything that look and cook half decent. Most of the UK pit builders are just very, very small time. So, you know, they're not able to build you anything much bigger than a small backyard pit. And some of those are pretty rough. Or you've got legitimate scammers and frauds. You know who you are. Then you've got other brands like Leviathan. Really, really good pits. Cooked on one of those a couple of months back. Very, very good. But to be honest, if I'm dropping £12,000 on a smoker, I want it to be something that I know is going to be perfect. There is absolutely no room for me to get it back home, start cooking on it, and it not be what I want. And I've cooked on primitive pits in the past. I know what they do. They're trusted. Some of the best pit masters in the world cook on primitives. I spoke to a lot of guys about the primitive brand and the primitive pits, and it helped me to decide that if I'm spending that kind of money on a pit, I'm not taking any chances. So I went with the primitive, got it imported, and couldn't be happier with it. So first cook video, definitely coming soon. Let me know what you want me to cook on it first, but we all know what it's going to be. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that video. It was a little documentation for me. So cook video coming soon. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It really, really does help me out. And I'll see you next week for another video.